Hi, George. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Sherry.
Hello, everybody.
I like Chris Meek's picture. That really makes him look good.
There's a good looking guy, Gary.
Oh, there's
Left.
Steve. I like him too.
Right above George Jost. Perfect spot for me.
Yeah.
You guys have a good meeting. I'll be listening.
There's Robert. Because it calls, excuse me, because it calls for it in the rules of orders, we're going to do the pledge, and I'll say stand up, and you guys do whatever you want. We'll do the pledge to start the meeting, just like we always do, and that's what it calls for in the city ordinance rules. So I have 6:59. Is that what you guys have?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, not to disappoint Councilman Zimmerman, the hour being 7 o'clock, I'm going to call this meeting to order. So if we could, let's start the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
To
flag
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item is approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor,
Councilman Kilpack.
I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda with one change. And I'd like to have item D in the consent agenda be moved to item B in the council action item. And I would ask my motion would be to accept the agenda with those changes.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mayor, I'll second that with the changes.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Kilpack and seconded by Councilman Berg. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, the first item is presentations under A, Sweetwater County Economic Development Coalition, and I see two staff members from that. Oh, there's Kayla popped up and Eric. So whoever wants to take it away, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor Rust. Thank you, City Council, for this opportunity, guys, give you guys an update. I'm going to share a screen here and we'll go through a quick PowerPoint. And we're just here to explain what, pardon me, okay, somebody was talking, sorry. Okay, we're just giving an overview of kind of some of the things that have gone on in the last year since everything has moved over to the county. And we have really enjoyed Kayla coming over and we've accomplished a lot. So the first thing we're going to go through is the Middle Baxter project, and then I'll have Kayla jump in. For those, I don't even think I've given an update to City of Green River. I have with the commissioners, but this has been going on for a year as far as the study goes, but actually it's been going on longer than that, and probably about 3 years that we've been involved in this project. We've had the City of Green River partner with us. They are a three-way partner with City of Green River, Rock Springs, and then the county. The county was able to obtain a business council grant for $50,000 for this study, and then the remaining costs, the other $100,000 is split between the three entities. Sweetwater County and the two entities, municipalities, have seen that everyone can benefit from a big project coming in. So this project was split into 3 different phases. Phases 1, 2, and 3. The first part was we hired actually Thomas P. Miller out of Indianapolis, and they were ones that were awarded the contract, and they did an economic basis analysis of what kind of markets could we bring here to Sweetwater County. And you have one of the most important things when you're recruiting businesses and when you're wanting to bring in large industries and things like that is workforce. One of the issues that we saw with Walmart, with the distribution center, I mean, yes, there was lack of infrastructure and things like that, but one of the biggest issues was workforce. And so you have to look at what your economic base is when you're looking at targeted markets. What type of industries do you have here that can complement? What type of workforce? What are their skills, their education level? So those are the things that were involved in the first part of the process. The second was infrastructure analysis. So out here by the Middle Baxter, and I'll show you a map shortly of the location of where we're looking at, what type of infrastructure, the cost, and then the third phase was the implementation phase, which is where we're at right now. So in phase 1, these were the potential market attraction based on the workforce that we have here in Sweetwater County. Renewable energy manufacturing and storage is a hot thing right now. In the county, we know about the solar farm that's located west of Green River, and all the other solar farms that are coming into Sweetwater County potentially. We're looking at 5 different solar farms. So one of the things that we could potentially looking at is renewable energy manufacturing and storage. Computer services and software publishers was another thing, targeted market to look at as far as bringing in like a data center due to the power availability and broadband. The other thing was distribution and e-commerce, as far as like an Amazon type center and such here, with all the infrastructure here as far as the highway goes, Interstate 80, the railroad, the airport. Inorganic and agricultural chemicals was another thing to complement Simplot in the area that we're looking at. So they were looking at potential industry of that. Agricultural, mining, and construction machinery. Some of the skilled labor that we have here as far as like heavy equipment type machinery. And then the other thing that we've looked at is glass products. Now, I just want to bring up that, you know, there's been discussion in the past as far as potential windshield manufacturing and things like that. The one issue with that is glass is heavy. The cost of shipping is very expensive. Most of your automobile manufacturing is far away. It's on the East Coast. So the shipping costs make it very cost prohibitive to have that type of industry here. But when we're speaking of glass products, we're talking about specialty glass, the potential market here for. We saw with COVID-19, some of the needs for medical glass and things like that. So it is a potential industry we could look at. Phase two, so here's a map just to show you the region we're looking at. And in the kind of the orange here color to the east here to the right, on the right side of the map here is the airport. And then this whole area in purple is the potential area for this Middle Baxter project and the intersection there. The highway runs through it. So we've got highway access here. We've got rail that does run to Simplot that we've been working with on the project. And so the big thing obviously here that we lack is water, especially to the airport. They're trucking it in. So that's another issue out there. So water is really the biggest cost out there. So here's the area. It's split up in ownership. It's got BLM out there. It's got Rock Springs Grazing Association. Just so you know, we're working with our Rock Springs Grazing Association. We've had several meetings with them. We're working with them to sign a letter of cooperation in this project. When you work with the BLM, it's a long process. For those who have had to work with federal agencies, it is a lengthy process. It is in the resource management plan that they're working on right now to have those lands potentially transferred over to or put up into the market for sale. And so, but what we saw is if we want to move along with this project, that the areas that are adjacent and close to Simplot would be more feasible, and there's private ownership, which would be Rock Springs Grazing Association. So definitely, if we are to develop out there, it would be private section would be the priority. So this is just a kind of a preliminary lot layout potential that you could see. Those green sections are Rock Springs Grazing Association. And so just to kind of show you the parcel layout that you could potentially see out there. When we're splitting up this project, we're trying to look at maximum benefit to the airport. We also have a residential community out there that had some water issues as far as wells drying up. We have a pretty nice residential subdivision called Arrowhead Springs out there that has a need for water. So locating a tank near Simplot could potentially benefit both Arrowhead, Simplot, which has a need also for water. They're nearing capacity, and then in the summer months, and then you have the need at the airport. So this project was, what we see it as, is split up into several phases to do it as we recruit businesses out there. The first phase, you're looking at the biggest cost because you're talking about the water tank and a distribution line. You're looking at $8.8 million. Phase two, you're looking at 3.3 million, which you're taking that line from the tank and into the area out into the lots. So, and then you're looking at another 1.9 million on phase three to complete it. So definitely not as high of cost as we thought it would be, but is your biggest cost definitely is the water distribution lines. As far as timeline goes for the construction of the project, you're looking at, and just so you know, and Kayla's going to talk a little bit about all the stuff and the marketing and promoting that we've done. As far as the timeline goes, we're looking between, just in this first year, potentially you're looking at, that we're not advocating for additional taxes to promote this project. As we've stated on radio shows, we're looking at potential grants, possible loans and things like that through the Wyoming Business Council, through EDA. So we are a coal affected community. So we are eligible for coal impacted community funds. So those are our priorities to look at as far as funding for this project, not additional taxes at this time. So phases one, if everything went smoothly, you could be looking at 2022. As you get in full build out, 2028. So this is it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, this project, but it does show you that we just appreciate everything that the city of Green River has done for us in this project, and Reed Clevenger, who's been a part of this in the reviews as a member of the SCDC. So, Mr. Mayor, that's all that I have. Open for any questions before I turn it over to Kayla on the Middle Baxter project.
Does anybody have any questions for Eric? Questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much, Eric. My only comment is speed it up. Just we'd like to see it done sooner, and I know everybody would. So go ahead, Kayla. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I am going to cover the 2020 year in review for SCDC and then what's on the horizon for 2021. So as you can see here, we transitioned from the Rock Springs Chamber in March of 2020 over to the County Land Use Department. And we have since then responded to 13 Wyoming Business Council leads, and a majority of those have been small manufacturing into some ammunition and gun type, I guess more like outdoor recreation type leads as well. And we've had a couple that are a little unique to them as well. So we haven't landed anything yet, but we did work with a company that was from Brazil, and they're still out there kind of waiting. The gentleman is looking at some gravel Bitcoin projects. So that's still something that we're working on. And he's looking at some additional training so that he's prepared to start his business over here in the US. So that's a potential. And then we've recently had some requests from the Wyoming Business Council because our inventory of properties is so high, and we have some great buildings in Sweetwater County that have some great amenities. They're all within 12 years or less in age, so they have the ability to be retrofitted if they need to be. So they've reached out to us on a couple of the properties that aren't listed yet, such as Halliburton and one that's actually out on Lagoon Road. And those are some potential buildings that they're looking at with another lead that actually just started right after the first of the year. So we're waiting on those results for that. Also, we have worked with several other small businesses along the way through COVID who've requested some additional information, some data, demographics. And then we've also assisted in the First Security Bank project with the City of Rock Springs, looking at some possible retail and restaurants that they can look at for putting in their building, as well as the Grow YO LLC group for the Tomahawk. And we've worked with them on some ideas of restaurants, and I think they actually have landed a tenant there based off of some conversations. So we've assisted there, and currently we are doing radio shows. We started those this summer. We brought in members of our board to have conversations with Johnny K on 93.5. We do that twice a month. That's the second and fourth Thursdays of the month. You can check us out on there. Eric and I jump on there occasionally, or we assist with a member of our board. So we'll continue those moving forward. And our big project right now, besides Middle Baxter, is the website and rebranding project. We partnered with Rocky Mountain Power and requested $10,000 from them in November to help us with some funding. The website and branding project is right around $20,000. So we have some money for that, but we need additional funding. So we're waiting on a letter response from Rocky Mountain Power. We feel pretty confident that we're going to get that money. So we're working on a new logo and branding project right now, and then our website. You can change it, Eric. So what's to come for 2021? We recently started a partnership with Western Wyoming Community College and Beach Creative Group to assist in some small business training. We had some requests from some small businesses as well as some of the larger industry as well that would like to see a little bit more training information and just something obviously virtual. It's hard to get everybody together. When I was in the Chamber of Commerce, we had what we called the small business roundtables, and we had a lot of those businesses reach out for additional resources. So we started the Sweetwater Virtual Business Lounge. We just had our first meeting of that last week. It's on the second Tuesday of the month. And what we do is we meet from 9 to 9:30. We've partnered with 2 coffee shops, one in Rock Springs, Nell's Coffee, and one in Green River, Stellar Coffee. And they offer a 30% discount on a beverage. And what we've encouraged people to do is take their mid-morning break, run down to the coffee shop, get a coffee, jump on this Zoom meeting. We bring in the experts. Our most recent one we had was surviving the 2020 taxes. And then we discussed all of the Paycheck Protection Program changes and what it's going to look like for businesses who are applying for those and what the forgivenesses look like. So the next one will be on February 9th. And we have brought in Amanda, I believe it's Monk now. She worked for the city, and Kara Beach, and they will be talking about how to balance the work-life virtual work balance. So that'll be the next one. And we will be launching the SEDC website in February. And we will come back with a new logo and branding to you guys. Our plan is to get that on the next quarterly update. And we'd like to expand our community update programs. We've had a lot of people say, hey, we don't know what SEDC is doing. And for us, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So what we're doing is trying to get out to the radios and hopefully get on with the radio network. We are on tomorrow with Tom Ellis on YO Radio doing the Insider, or Insights, I think is what it's called. And then hopefully we can get some marketing dollars moved into our budget so that we can start doing some online marketing campaigns with Sweetwater Now, YO4, the Rocket and Green River Star. And then our Sweetwater Industrial Development Phase 4 recruitment efforts. So that'll tie into the website. Our goal is to start working on recruitment as soon as that website comes out and get our new marketing materials out with the help of Reed and our team. We'll be pretty confident and ready to get going on some recruitment. Next slide. And I'll take any questions or comments at this time.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Kayla?
Just thanks for the update. I appreciate all of the information for sure.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Anybody else? Yeah, we really appreciate the update. And I think, based on the meeting the joint meeting we had with the county commissioners and areas of common interest, we will be, we're not going to necessarily tonight, but I think what we've got is, and I can see the wheels turning in all the council, we'll probably appoint somebody to a committee that the county will also do so, and the city of Rock Springs, and we'll be working with you guys. So I would just ask the council to be thinking about that, those that might be interested in economic development. And I know there are some people out there. So we're looking forward to working with you guys in the future and appreciate the presentation. Thank you both.
Thanks, Mayor Rust. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, thanks, guys. Okay. Moving on, item 5, citizen requests and other communications. I'm going to ask Chris, and he may be the wrong one, Chris or Rebecca, but are there any members of the public that have indicated that they would like to make any comments? Chris, I see you there.
Mr. Mayor, we haven't received any comments via email or any requests to be on the meeting tonight as a citizen. So I would say no, we don't have any.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Okay, moving on, board and committee appointments, reappointment of Kim, and hopefully I don't mess this up. Is it Strid? Does anybody know? Okay. Reappointment of Kim Strid to the Joint Travel and Tourism Board. Kim's been on the board for 3 years and is interested in serving another term. So I'll entertain a motion. Councilman Zimmerman.
Sorry, I had to unmute there. I move to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Kim Strid to the Joint Travel and Tourism Board for a 3-year term beginning February 1st, 2021 and expiring January 31st, 2024.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have 2 seconds, maybe 3, I'm not sure. So I'll say Councilman Shuttrin seconded it. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I believe it's unanimous. Okay, next up, we just have some, there's nothing specific in terms of a hearing or anything else, but as you all know, because you all participated, I believe, in the joint meeting with the Sweetwater County Commissioners and the Rock Springs City Council, there was a discussion, and I'm going to read from a couple of notes, and then I'm going to let Reed, if he chooses to, and anybody else can kind of jump in. The whole idea of the meeting is obviously as three government entities, and we haven't met. I've been with city government since 2002. Let's see, George goes back further, Gary goes back a ways, and you guys can, jump in, but it doesn't make sense to me that we've never had any communication in terms of joint meetings in at least the last 20 years or so with the county and Rock Springs. And I think it obviously, because of declining revenue, it becomes even more important. And it's just a natural thing that we all thought of. What is it that we might have common interests? We can save money and increase the services and the quality of life of all the citizens in Sweetwater County. That's what it's all about. I think Reed made a very important point in a paper that he wrote on this, is just some thoughts after we met with them. And that is, and it was in addressing one of the councilman from Rock Springs comments, that we have all these committees in place. Why are we having another committee to second guess what they're doing? That's not at all, of course, what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to look at where we can perhaps find efficiencies and use our resources jointly to better serve the people. So that's what it's all about. And I'm just going to read a couple of things from Mr. Clevenger. This is your memo, and you're welcome to jump in at any time. But I just want to read just a couple lines from this, which I think kind of summarizes what we're talking about. And then if nobody else has any comments, we'll talk about the specific issues that are listed here, the specific areas. But here it is. We have put the committee appointments on our agenda for next week. This was after the meeting. This was done so we can have some discussion about these committees and the intent behind them. The committees are being established to get people together to not have oversight of the current boards, but to look at how they are financially impacting us individually, and can or does it need to be changed. We are all facing uncertain fiscal conditions. We understand that current thinking and approaches to alternative service delivery and program models need to be looked at across the board. That's what we're doing. Reed, do you have any more comments on this?
No, Mayor, thank you. I think that sums it up. It was, again, we're trying to put the only comment I guess to say is, it doesn't need to be one person. It can be 2 or 3, whatever it needs to take to provide the insight and ideas and history for each of these to help us come together to come to a solution on what might be able to, how these might be funded or move forward in the future.
Okay. And I've spoken to all of you to some extent today, mainly dealing with the complications that are involved sometimes with our new Zoom technology. But just asking people to think about some of the appointments and some of the areas. So when we got through with that meeting, and I think we all know this, but there was the ambulance was really one of the greatest concerns based on the announcement that the county commissioners made that as of the end of March, they would no longer be potentially funding that. So that's one of the groups that need an appointment. The Sixth Penny Commission, which is obvious. I think you guys all know that Green River, it's my impression, and it's the impression of a lot of others from Green River, that Green River strongly supports the Sixth Penny. Not quite so much Rock Springs, but our citizens, I've had more people contact me when we've dealt with this issue a couple of years ago, asking that we need to do it rather than the opposite in terms of being concerned with the tax. They see it as a quality of life issue. And while nobody likes taxes, I think our citizens see the wisdom in spending the money. So that's my opinion. I'll let any of you guys jump in a second. So the 6 penny is a area that we have to appoint somebody. Centralized purchasing, again, I'm just going from the report that we have here. And both purchasing and inventory, but that's kind of an obvious one that maybe we can save some money on. The airport was talked about, and because legislation on the day that we were actually having that joint meeting, it was being assigned out of a legislative committee, and the whole legislature is going to take it up. So we really kind of decided, I think as a group, when we were just talking there, that it doesn't make sense to appoint somebody to a committee until we kind of find out what that legislation ends up resulting in. And I think somebody sent out that legislation today. I don't know if you guys got it. I know I did, the potential legislation. And it does mention the city a lot. It's not one of those ones where it seems like all of the authority is delegated, like in the case of the 6 penny, to the county commissioners, and we're kind of held hostage to that. It absolutely mentions city, city, city. It talks about 3 to 9 people potentially in this proposed legislation for this board, and that the group decides on what that representation would be. So it, in my opinion, it would be 3-3-3. You know, kind of a thing, 3 representatives from the city of Rock Springs, 3 from, but it's not one that gives all the authority away, and that a city the size of Green River has no authority within the county. So that's just something to think about, but we don't have to appoint anybody to that one at the moment. And the SEDC, Reed mentioned that there was going to be a presentation, so it was a little early to think about necessarily putting somebody on that group, but we just have had the presentation. And again, that's why I mentioned at the end, you guys need to think about that, because that is one that potentially will be appointing 1 or 2 people. I think the central purchasing one, to me, and I've talked with all you guys, it makes sense. And I'm not volunteering you, Chris Meets, but I think our finance people, either Chris or one of his assistants, Mara would be the most obvious. I think it would make sense to potentially appoint them. And then just the other thing that I think I've also mentioned to most of you is I did speak with Bailey, doctor with Castle Rock Medical, and Bailey has worked with ambulance service, obviously, for a number of years. And I think it would make sense to have Bailey be at least one of our representatives to that group. And she has said that she'd be willing to do that. So I don't think we necessarily have a lot of, oh, and the other one was the Joint Communications group. And again, that one, I think that if you guys recall the discussion, Keaton West kind of made the point that, you know, there's a contract, and the contract obviously does not set up a relationship with a board that we've created that is to the advantage of the people that created the board. So it needs to be looked at. And his suggestion is that all of our attorneys, so in this case, we're volunteering Galen, who I see is on here, and the Rock Springs city attorney and the county attorney get together first and look at the contract and see what they can come up with that makes sense from their legal point of view. And then they report back to us as a commission, as a council for us, and then we see from there. So, and the only other thing I would offer is, as far as the 6 penny group, which we do have to appoint somebody to, Councilman Kilpack has volunteered to be on that. And in as much as Gary is a senior member, from my point of view, I'm going to recommend Gary being on it. You guys are, of course, anything that I recommend, it's up to you guys to confirm. So that's just my kind of a general thing. We don't have to make final decisions today, but we want to kind of get back to the commissioners as soon as possible. So I'm gonna be quiet and open the floor. And if Reed has anything that he thinks that I've not covered or covered incorrectly, certainly jump in, Reed. I wouldn't be offended. So I just open it up the floor for discussion and we'll go from there. Anybody have any comments?
Mayor,
Go ahead, Councilman Kilpack.
I just have a comment on a couple of the items that are actually on the agenda, and one is the ambulance. And when we was in that meeting, I just didn't quite understand what the commissioners was wanting. And the way the meeting went, I was wondering if they just wanted to take over the ambulance service for the whole county or privatize it. And for that reason, I do think that we really need a strong advocate for the city of Green River to be on that ambulance committee so that our citizens are protected. And if they do end up privatizing or the county decides to run it, we just need to make sure that the services are equal in the city of Green River. And then on the centralized purchasing, I think that's a great cause and there could be some savings, but I also can see that there could be a challenge of losing control of the things that each department wants to purchase. And so I would really think a good, strong person there would be on that position too, so that we in the city of Green River don't feel like that all of a sudden we've lost control of things that we're trying to purchase to keep our city running in a proper, good and clean way. And that's all the comments I have on that. I do like the SEDC. There's some really good things happening there. So we do need a strong person there as well. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Anybody else?
Mayor, it's Reed. I mean, one of the things we have to think about specifically, I would say, like on the ambulance, is the time is of the essence on that one, meaning that, you know, their contracts are ending the end of March. Even after that meeting, I still don't think we know from a city perspective what the end game is from the county on what they're doing or what they're trying to accomplish with that. Is if the funding is completely done, are they going to put additional funding in, or are they just dropping the ball completely on that and what it takes? You know, I think that's having Bailey on there is a really good thing. We'll have a little bit of a history. Someone like Chris meets on there from a financial person who's gone through all this, you know, years before looking at it. You know, and does that fall, you know, is it going to end up falling on the city of Green River from a cost perspective that we haven't been doing before? And that's why, you know, if that's, you know, this is kind of what you know, even though we want to talk about six pain, this is what kind of started all of the other discussions is, you know, if they're dropping it and expecting it to fall on us out of the blue, you know, there's a whole different level of services we're going to have to take a look at from a city perspective if we're taking on ambulance service from a cost perspective. And, you know, in the areas of dollars that we're looking at trying to do from a budgeting perspective going into this, I think that, you know, it's going to be, you know, really difficult to come up with that answer in a month and a half. So, you know, how long can the current system run as it is? Can someone come in that's going to privatize the entire thing and make that work? So that committee is going to have to take a look at quite a lot of avenues, or you know what I'm saying, in terms of areas to figure out where the money is going to come from. Which then, you know, doing that, then you talk about going into the, you know, these other phases of stuff is our goal in doing this was to cut expenses, not increase expenses. So, you know, as our groups go in to take a look at it, we were trying to figure out what other ways we could fund it. Is that funding model correct? Should it be changed? Should it be different? Should it be different percentages? Should it be at a whole different funding model altogether? You know, so there's quite a bit of stuff I think we need to outline. As far as Galen and or the lawyers taking a look at, I think we need to come up, with a bullet pointed on each topic to give them, and say, hey, what we're looking to do is, can this contract or this joint agreement be changed to benefit the direction that we want to go? Is it, what are our outs in terms of changing them, and are we capable of doing that, and what will that take before we really start coming up with a number of ideas on how to change the funding and stuff. That's all I have.
Thanks, Reed. Okay, anybody else? So aside from Reed's comments on the basically the joint communications, giving them some feedback, aside from just the attorneys, kind of a thing. What's specifically on the agenda, and again, that we've talked about, is the ambulance service. So Chris, because he knows our money kinds of concerns and what would be involved in there, and Bailey is, you guys don't have to necessarily answer this tonight, but I'm going to ask you. You don't have to. We can talk about it. But what did happen at that meeting, you guys are aware of this. Rock Springs gave them their people, county gave them their people. They kind of implied or something that we hadn't gotten our act together and had people, which is not correct. We'll work on our own time frame, not theirs. But we do have to get the people into these positions. So I'm going to just suggest this, and you guys can give me feedback tonight or in the next couple of days. We can certainly, because we do have and Reed, you jump in if you think otherwise, or Chris or whoever on the staff, but we do have a workshop next Tuesday, so we could finalize, appointments there. People can talk about it amongst themselves. But at the moment, based on the agenda that the ambulance commission, the 6 penny, and the centralized purchasing that's on this tonight, my suggestion would be Bailey and Chris for the ambulance. So the 6 penny would be Gary, and probably Ryan. He's the one that I think you've heard from. Reed has done a lot of research on all of the 6 penny issues and elections that have gone on in the last several years throughout the whole state. So he has the ability to give to that group a lot of history of what's gone on. And anybody can jump in on that one if they want to. Centralized purchasing, again, I think, and this would be up to Chris to tell us, either Chris or Mara would make the most sense. And I don't know if we need a council person on that or not. Chris, could you weigh in on this?
Mayor and Council, we've kind of been working on that pre-COVID. We had about 2 meetings on it. Finance director is a purchasing agent for the county. Reed was there, and I think Doc was there as well. So overall, I kind of think the groundwork's laid. COVID threw a wrench in everything. But yeah, I'd be more than happy to work on that board. I kind of think we've already been working on it. It would be something I could transfer to Mira as well. She's definitely a good in there, and we can, between the two of us, one of us will attend all those meetings. It won't be a problem.
Okay. So, and again, the airport and the SEDC, we can hear from you guys because those don't have to necessarily, those aren't listed tonight. So anybody else have any final thoughts on this before we move on?
Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilman Kilpack.
I would think it would be, in my estimation, it would be important that we have some type of council representation on each of those committees, or make sure that we get a report on a regular basis so that we know how the committees are moving, so that when it comes time to make an informed decision that we know exactly what's going on. And that would be my only comment. I think it would be good if those on the council are willing to take a little bit of time and be a liaison on each of those committees. But that's just my thought.
Yeah, Mayor, I think, I agree with Gary. I think we should have one. And I was just trying to lay out, just in my mind, about some of the, just in the couple that we're looking at tonight. I mean, granted, there's going to be more, but we already have people who are on the boards. Do we keep some of those, you know, not necessarily trying to have people who are on the boards be also on the committees? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because they can share that information. The other thing I think is there's going to be a couple of additional ones that are going to come up, especially when you look at, you know, with the SCDC or another one, or if you look at the Joint Command Communication is going, you know, could have an easy spinoff. You can look to, you know, the airport could have an easy spinoff based on the, you know, having a, you know, a taxing district, if you will. We also have the solid waste district one. So there's going to be quite a few opportunities that are going to be in there. But the ones that we're specifically looking tonight from an ambulance, you know, I think with Chris and Bailey, I would probably, you know, Bailey not being on there, but I'd push to get, you know, her, and I would actually recommend Sherry and Bill, you know, on that one. On the Six Penny, I think both Gary and Pete, I think Ryan, I think that's a good one. You know, having you guys on there. The Joint Command, I'd almost, even though Tom is on, we also have Mira, but I think Tom can do the work with Larry and Bill, because they're going to have a tremendous amount of input, but not to have them on, but would be Tom and Shuttrin and Zimmerman on that one. I think would be good. I think there's going, because it's with Councilman Zimmerman being with the county. I mean, I think we, you know, need to play where we can in terms of sharing information. Centralized purchasing, I think, you know, with would be Mira, as you had mentioned earlier, and Robert. I think there's quite a bit of work already being done there. I think that then it leaves it open. If we look at, you know, we're going to have a diversion dam committee, you know, someone with history like George would be, or you know, Councilman Joe, sorry, would be really good. You know, we're going to have a Six Penny where he could also be a part of that down the road. But I just think we need to, by the time you put all this together and what we're going to be going through, it's going to be spread out quite a bit. Just to realize that it's not just these couple. Anyway, that's my input.
Okay, and the only thing is, obviously for all you guys, maybe George and Gary and I are a little bit different because are you retired, George?
There we go. Yeah, I'm retired.
Okay,
Yeah,
so the three of us are a little bit more flexible. For the rest of you, and I've heard this from you, and we all understand this, it depends on the timing in the day, you know, of what those are. And I think that in as much as all of these committees are just being established, and for the most part, the people that are being considered on them for the council and the county commissioners representatives, they're in the same position, you know. So it's a matter of if you have an interest, that those people, you're going to get together with the group and work out times that will fit your schedules. And in some cases, absolutely, you're not going to be expected, one, to make every meeting. And then I think to the extent that we have one or two or three people, and that's why it doesn't make any sense from my point of view to have three people on a committee looking at all these various concerns for the county. Because they're simply not going to be able to meet lots of the times, every individual. So it makes sense to have a couple. And in that, you won't have to make every meeting. You can have the other person substitute. We'll still have a person that will be able to give the feedback. So I kind of like Reed's ones, but you guys can email or contact and let me know what you think, because you've just heard what Reed suggested for some of the appointments. And then I'll get back with the county commissioners what we feel is the folks that we would like to appoint to these committees. So that's my thought. Anybody else? Okay, do communicate with me, okay? Give it some thought, and I can see the wheels turning and things like that. And I know the biggest thing truly is some of you have really heavy commitments and it's going to be difficult, but you know, see what you can do to work it out. Okay, we're going to move on. Item 7, is that okay with everybody? We okay? Okay. Item 7, council action items. Consideration of a request for innovative readiness training, civil military partnership airport runway grading project phase 2. Where is Mr. Weston Scott? There he is.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You find my paperwork here. We enjoyed a very productive and positive project with the Wyoming National Guard last summer up at the airport. And that was a mutually beneficial project. We got a lot of work done. They came up and we were able to get some really good training. They enjoyed coming and would like to, and expressed an interest in coming back. We did learn here recently that for us to have them back would require a new application. That's what we have here tonight. You know, I wouldn't mind putting one of these in every year. Having them up there was great. I don't know if they're going to be available this year or any future year, but you know, you don't get if you don't ask. So this is an opportunity for us to ask and let them know that they're welcome to come back and see if they can work it in. And if not, we'll try again next year.
Okay, does anybody have any questions of Mark on this? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's an opportunity to have a great deal of labor for nothing, basically, almost nothing. So if there is not any discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Excuse me.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Yost. Go ahead, George.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I move we authorize the mayor to submit an application to Innovative Readiness and Training Civilian Military Partnership Program for Phase 2 of the Green River Airport Runway Grading Project.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion by Councilman George. Is it Jost or Yost? I'm gonna say Jost. Okay, thank you, George. And seconded by Councilwoman Bushman. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, item B, approval of alteration of the building of the mast.
Mayor,
Councilman Shatron.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn to executive session for possible litigation.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn to executive session for potential litigation. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then
Any
also-
opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. I see Chris has jumped on because he wants to get something in, right, Chris?
Just give you guys instructions. I sent all of the council members an executive session Zoom meeting. I'm a little tongue-tied there tonight. Please, you'll have to exit off of this meeting and join that meeting. The Zoom meeting to the public will remain open, and we have someone monitoring that so all the people can stay on that. And then we will come back for whether we take action or not action from the executive session to finish consent and the other items on the agenda. But all the council members will come off. When you get to the next meeting, there will be a waiting room so we can ensure who's in that meeting, and I will let you in as that goes through. Are there any questions before we move to that?
So Chris, do we just go up and push leave and actually leave this meeting? Is
Yes.
that how we do that?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Byrd.
just for procedural, I did not catch who seconded Mike's motion to go into executive session.
Did you do that, Councilman Kilpack, or are you volunteering to do it? Because I missed it.
I did it.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to leave this meeting and reconvene, and hopefully it'll all work out. Okay.
Mayor Russ, can you hear me this time?
Yes.
All right. I switched internet connections. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Robert said that he had to reboot. He should be given just 1 minute here. So.
Okay. I would note, Mr. Clevenger, that I was the first one back on.
Good. Oh, there he is.
Okay, so where is Sherry? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who else from it? Sherry and George. Here's George.
Going to bed. Okay. Time is it? 9. Is that any good?
I did send a note to Sherry. I just talked to Sherry. She should be just a second.
Can you hear us, Sherry?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
No, that's all right. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to re-adjourn to regular session. Councilman Chartrand.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn to normal regular session.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Chartrand. I see it seconded by Councilwoman Bushman. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay. Item D is approval of an alteration renovation of the building at 24 East Flaming Gorge Way. I'll entertain a motion. Councilman Chartrand.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the alteration and renovation of the Buddy Inc. DBA Mass Lounge located at 24 East Flaming Gorge Way to allow the renovation of this property in accordance with the 2018 International Building Codes as adopted by the City of Green River and in accordance with building construction permit issued by the city for such purpose pending legal approval.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Chartrand and seconded by Councilman Kilpack. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I believe it's unanimous. Robert, since I can't see you, I don't know what your vote was.
He's on, but with no video and his audio shut off.
Okay, we need to find out how he voted, if he did. In the meantime, we can check on that vote. And I don't know if Reed is contacting him, but if not, we'll have the city administrator report.
I did.
Okay. Okay, he's connecting the audio now. There you are. Hey, Robert? Can you hear us, Robert? Can you hear us, Robert? Can you hear me? Apparently not. Here we go.
Now we can, Robert.
You're on mute.
Okay, I'm back, guys. Sorry about that. I had to get
All
on my
right.
phone instead.
So did you hear the whole discussion and the vote, Robert? Did you vote?
I did not get a chance to vote, but I'll vote no on that.
Okay. Okay, so the vote's unanimous. We're going to move on. City Administrator's report. Reed?
Mayor, I have a question before you go to the city administrator.
Yes, go ahead, Councilman Kilpack.
Did Robert understand how the motion was read? Because it's different than what's on the paper. The motion was not to approve, was to deny.
A vote to deny.
Did you understand that, Robert?
Okay, now I understand. So my vote would be yes to deny.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that clarification, Councilman Kopech. Yes, Councilman Zimmerman.
Did we approve the consent agenda?
Good point.
We have not.
No. Thanks, Councilman Zimmerman. So let's enter. Go ahead, Councilman. Go ahead, Councilman Zimmerman, since you brought it up.
Yes, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Shuttrin to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, now, Mr. Clevenger, do you have anything for the city administrator's report?
Mayor, at this time, no, other than we do have a workshop coming up next week. We'll have the information on that has gone out. There's a few topics to go over. We'll try to keep it fairly limited, but covering quite a few, and we'll make sure that everyone has all the information regarding those.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Reed. Galen, anything from the city attorney?
I have no report tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you, Galen. Okay, I'm going to go down. Councilman Zimmerman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tomorrow, I hope to do the county's final inspections on the Love's travel stop. The state inspector will be there also, and hopefully everything will pass. Speedco, the tire shop, is behind the opening of the Love's travel stop. So Love's will open, but shortly thereafter, Speedco should open. They're just, they put all their attention into opening the Love's travel stop and pulled some men out of Speedco. So that won't be ready as soon as Love's will be. On Thursday, I plan on taking Larry and Bill and anybody else in the fire department through out at Love's for a tour. And so I would like to open that up to council or the mayor or anybody that would like to join us on taking that tour of Love's before they open. I'd be more than happy to take you out with me. You just have to let me know, and we're going to meet sometime in the afternoon and then go out there. So, and one other question, is Chief Jarvie still on?
Yes, Councilman Zimmerman, I'm here.
Okay, I was just curious to know if there was any more details on the body that was turned up in Green River.
Still being investigated at this time. There's no foul play suspected at this point, but autopsy still hasn't been completed, so it's premature to say much.
Okay, thank you, Chief. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Zimmerman. Councilman Berg.
The only thing I've got is that Green River needs better internet.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Berg. Councilman Kilpack.
I have nothing.
Okay, Councilman Shuttrin.
I have no report this evening, Mayor.
Councilman Jost.
And I don't have anything either tonight.
Okay, and I don't have anything. Councilwoman Bushman.
Thank you, Mayor. I do, actually. I wanted to let the citizens of Green River be made aware that there are immediate job openings as we speak with Elwood Staffing. They are needing up to 100 people, and it's a 4-day, 12-hour shift, and it's in Ogden, Utah. And what's really nice is that this project is, they actually will have you on a bus, and it's free transportation down to Ogden. Again, it's only for 4 days, and the lodging is paid for by this company. They provide 2 full meals at the company. Apparently, it says quite a feast from what I hear, and it's no cost to the employee. You also get a per diem, and it ranges depending upon the shift, and it's $30 to $40 a day. The hourly rate depends on during the week, but it ranges from $15.25 to $16.75. They can sign up for overtime. There's bonuses available if they work on the weekends. And what's really nice is that Elwood offer full medical, dental, and vision benefits. So if there's anyone out there that is needing work, please contact Elwood. So you just need to text the word Ogden to area code 307-362-6397. And I believe we'll have this posted as well to the community. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bushman. And I mean, that's great news, 100 jobs. And I can tell you, speaking to job service, they're dealing with a lot of people that need work. So this would be a huge thing to fill 100 jobs for the citizens of Sweetwater County that need it. So thanks for working on that, Sherry. And again, it's a big deal, and Steve will get the word out through all the various means that we have. So I expect that it'll be on Sweetwater Now, Wild 4 News, and on our own websites tomorrow morning. It's a big deal. Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn unless anybody has anything else. Councilman Shuttrin.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay. Is there a second? George?
I'll second it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. A few technical difficulties along the way, but thanks to everybody for persevering, and we got her done. So good job.
Have a good evening.
Yep. We'll be seeing you guys at least by next Tuesday.
Thank you.